Good morning and welcome to St Peter's Church in Woodmancote in West Sussex. Now I've just visited one church which was actually the wrong one. Anyway, the church is just springing out in front of me now. We're out the trees. What I'll do is I'll swing around so you can have a look at what I'm looking at. You can just see the church springing out above the trees in the background now. Right, well anyway, we are here today to visit the final resting place of an author. Now, he was an author I read quite profusely as a youngster into the horror genre. Now, he really became famous, well famous to me anyway, through a trilogy of books he wrote. The first one being The Rats. That should be a massive clue who we're visiting. The second one was The Lair, and the third one, which was my absolute favourite, and I read it on numerous occasions, was Domain, which again was about the killer rats, but it was after a nuclear war when people were helpless. Loads of homeless people, loads of injured people, the rats just had a feast. Quite a bad book actually, but yeah, anyway, what I'll do is I'll spin you around and we'll try and find, because I've literally just arrived, I haven't even looked to see where his final resting place is yet. I'll spin you around and I'll tell you a little bit about the person we are here to visit today, and that is James Herbert. Born in London, Herbert was the son of Herbert, a storeholder at London's Brick Lane Market. He attended a Catholic school in Bethnal Green called Our Lady of the Assumption. He left school at 15 and studied at Horsley College of Art, joining the art department of John Collins, a small advertising agency. He left the agency to join Charles Barker Advertising, where he worked as art director and then group head. Herbert lived in Woodmancote near Henfield in West Sussex. He had two brothers, Peter, a retired market trader, and John, an insurance broker. Herbert would write his drafts in longhand on jumbo pads. In 1979, Herbert had to pay damages when it was ruled that he had based part of his novel, The Spear, on the work of another writer, The Spear of Destiny by Trevor Ravenscroft. In 2010, Herbert was honoured with the World Horror Convention Grand Master Award presented to him by Stephen King. Later in the same year, he was appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE, in the 2010 birthday honours presented by Prince Charles. His first two books, The Rats and The Fog, were disaster novels with man-eating giant black rats in the first and an accidentally released chemical weapon in the second. The first print run of The Rats, 100,000 copies, sold out in 3 weeks. Herbert wrote 3 sequels to The Rats: Lair, Epping Forest rather than in the first book, London Slums. In Domain, a nuclear war results in rats having become the dominant species in a devastated city. The third sequel, the graphic novel, The City, is an adventure set in post-nuclear future. With his third novel, the ghost story The Survivor, Herbert used supernatural horror rather than the science fiction horror of his first 2 books. In Shrine, he explored his Roman Catholic heritage with the story of an apparent miracle which turns out to be something much more sinister. Haunted, the story of a skeptical paranormal investigator taunted by malicious ghosts, began life as a screenplay for the BBC, though this was not the screenplay used in the eventual film version. Its sequels were The Ghosts of Sleeth and Ash. The Jonah is in a large part the story of a police investigation, albeit by a policeman whose life is overshadowed by a supernatural presence. The Spear deals with a neo-Nazi cult in Britain and an international conspiracy which includes a right-wing US general and an arms dealer. Others narrates the story of a physically deformed private detective. Herbert had previously tackled the theme of reincarnation in his 4th novel, Fluke, the fantasy story of a dog who somehow remembers his previous life as a human being. Rumbo, one of the characters from Fluke, also turns up in the Magic Cottage. Nobody True continues the theme of life after death, being narrated by a ghost whose investigation of his own death results in the destruction of his illusions about his life. Herbert described Creed as his Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. The novel The Secret of Crickley Hall, originally scheduled for release in April 2006, was eventually released in October. A long novel about a haunted country house in England, it examined the relationship between religious zealotry and child abuse. One of the characters in this novel is named after a real person who won the honour by having the winning bid in the 2004 BBC Radio 2 Children in Need auction. Herbert released a new novel virtually every year from 1974 to 1988, wrote 6 novels during the 1990s and released 3 new works in the 2000s. I am very insecure about being a writer, he stated in the book Faces of Fear. I don't understand why I am so successful. And the longer I stay that way, the better it's going to be, because that's what keeps me on the edge, striving if you like. Herbert's final novel has an eerie political edge. Ash imagines Princess Diana and her secret son, as well as Lord Lucan, Colonel Gaddafi and Robert Maxwell living together in a Scottish castle. He was the subject of a This Is Your Life programme in 1995 when he was surprised by Michael Aspel at the London dungeon. Herbert was by no means literary, but his work had raw urgency, said Stephen King. His best novels, The Rats and The Fog, had the effect of Mike Tyson in his championship days. No finesse, all crude power. Those books were bestsellers because many readers, including me, were too horrified to put them down. There are few things I would like to do less than lie under a cloudy night sky while someone read a loud and more vivid passage of Moon, Andrew Postman wrote in a New York Times book review. In the thriller genre, do recommendations come any higher? On the 20th of March 2013, Herbert died suddenly at his home in Sussex at the age of 69. No cause of death was given, and a spokesman for the publisher said that he had not been ill. He is survived by his wife Eileen and 3 daughters. His estate was valued at $8.3 million.
James Herbert, he wrote many books, mainly horror related. Many were turned into films, which I found actually quite disappointing. When you read the book, you're kind of physically there in your head, but when you watch the film version of it, it's just not what you pictured in your head. It kind of ruins it a bit. I have actually located his headstone. I located it while I was just filming, walking around. And I do apologise for this wind. It is extremely windy. There is a very powerful storm just off the west coast of the UK, and it's obviously affecting this area because we're right down on the south coast. But anyway, I shall spin you around and we shall go and have a look at his final resting place together. I did see it, as I said, when I was walking around filming, and it's just over here to my right. So if I walk over this way, it should be the very last one up here on my right. And here it is. James Herbert, OBE, storyteller. 8th of April 1943 to the 20th of March 2013. Husband, father, grandfather. Death is but the key. But there you go. That is the final resting place of author James Herbert. Oh, and just before we go, actually, I was told there was something on the back worth looking at. Oh, here we go. Oh, I don't know what that is, but it's quite interesting. I have absolutely no idea what that is supposed to be. Some little demon or an orc or something, I have no idea. But there we go, that is the final resting place of James Herbert. Well, that is it. That is the final resting place of James Herbert. I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a while to find it. As I said at the beginning, I went to the wrong church initially. I had a look around the churchyard, couldn't find it. There was another St Peter's church, literally a mile up the road. But anyway, I found it in the end. Let's say I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. And I will see you on the next one, wherever I am. So until then, bye bye for now.